Once upon a time, there was a girl named Hannah. The story kicks off with her having a meal with her parents. During the dinner chat, Hannah's mom shared something she wasn't too thrilled about. In response, Hannah got upset, and as a habit, she started nervously rubbing her nails on her fingers, something she did whenever she felt angry or confused. Now, this nail-rubbing habit wasn't anything extraordinary, but things took a strange turn. Suddenly, Hannah felt an odd sensation in her stomach, like something was pushing it out. This not only left her confused but also scared. However, whenever she placed her hand on her stomach, the weird feeling disappeared. Odd, right? Fast forward to the next scene, and we find Hannah at her home, away from her parents. Here, a friend pays her a visit. The next morning after a night's sleep, Hannah felt a sudden pain in the same spot on her stomach where she had felt movement before. A strange mark had appeared there. Even though everything seemed fine after a while, she brushed it off and headed to her job. Hannah worked for a big-shot fashion designer, creating stunning dresses. But lately, her boss wasn't happy with her designs. That day, while sewing a button, she accidentally pricked her finger, staining a dress with a drop of blood. Her boss flew into a rage, scolding Hannah harshly. It left her deeply upset. Seeking solace, she went to the bathroom, where the discomfort in her stomach returned, this time swelling up more, and there was even blood, which troubled her greatly. Fortunately, her close friend arrived, providing some much-needed support for Hannah. At this moment, Hannah kept the unusual occurrences to herself, despite her friend's unwavering support and encouragement. Even as her friend suggested going to a party to uplift her mood, Hannah declined, expressing her plan to spend the night at her friend's house instead. It turns out, Hannah's friend and someone she had feelings for had a long-standing connection. Through her friend, Hannah got to know this person, and over time, they grew closer. As they settled in at her friend's place, the conversation drifted towards family matters while they sat together. In the midst of their intimate conversation, Hannah was struck by a sudden pain at the spot where the mark had appeared earlier. The discomfort escalated as something seemed to push against her stomach once more, leaving her frightened. She dreaded that her friend might notice the strange mark and the unsettling sensation. In distress, Hannah decided to excuse herself, citing that she wasn't feeling well. Her sudden departure startled her friend, who worriedly inquired if he had done something wrong. Reassuringly, Hannah explained that it wasn't his fault, but she just wasn't feeling right, and then she left abruptly. Back at her home, she was supposed to design a beautiful dress, yet her fear and anxiety hindered any creative inspiration. Frustration took over as she found herself in a relentless cycle of distress. The pain in the marked spot on her stomach returned, intensifying to the point where her stomach visibly expanded. Then, an incredibly shocking scene unfolded. From the mark on her stomach, a peculiar creature began emerging, its appearance rather unsettling. To Hannah's amazement, this creature could speak, and it started saying hurtful things to her. Hannah's attempts at designing the dress ended in failure, and the creature taunting her only added to her distress. Overwhelmed, she couldn't believe what she was witnessing and eventually fainted. When she regained consciousness, fear still gripped her tightly. It felt like a nightmare, especially with the strange creature lying nearby. Reacting quickly, she locked it away in a closet, wanting to keep it out of sight. She tended to the wound where the creature had emerged, carefully bandaging it. Determined to move past this bizarre incident, Hannah focused on taking care of herself and returned to work. This time, inspiration struck, and she crafted a stunning dress, impressing her boss immensely. His praise brought her immense joy and satisfaction. However, when she was conversing with her friend, the wound started bleeding again. Her friend noticed and inquired about it, to which Hannah responded by saying it was an allergic reaction. Hannah visited the dermatologist seeking answers about her mysterious mark and the strange occurrences. The doctor, while examining the mark, inquired about Hannah's use of beauty products or creams that might have triggered an allergic reaction. However, Hannah denied using any such products. Upon further examination, the doctor came to a rather astonishing conclusion. She explained that it wasn't an allergy but rather a case of dual DNA, a condition where two sets of DNA exist within one person. The doctor elaborated, suggesting that during Hannah's gestation, she hadn't allowed her twin sibling to be born, essentially absorbing her twin in the womb. This resulted in the mark she had, an unusual yet not uncommon occurrence. This revelation only added to Hannah's existing fear and confusion, especially given the unsettling situation with the creature. After hearing from the doctor that her absorbed twin sibling couldn't come out from the mark on her stomach, Hannah felt incredibly scared. This idea had already been unsettling, and now it felt even more daunting. Trying to distract herself, she went to a bar with her friend to have a good time. But even amidst the fun, she kept reaching out to her friend through messages and calls, hoping for a response. Unfortunately, her friend seemed more focused on messaging someone else, leaving Hannah feeling hurt and ignored. Something peculiar caught her attention. Whenever Hannah felt upset or angry, she remembered that the creature inside her used to stir when it was still within. Now that it was out, she wondered how it would react to her emotions this time around. The creature's movements in the closet made it evident that it was somehow connected to Hannah's emotions and feelings. As she returned home, she discovered that the creature had managed to get out of the closet and was now under her bed, starting to emerge. It had developed a bit, with limbs emerging, and upon seeing Hannah, it began speaking. It told Hannah about her friend, mentioning that despite her feelings, he was still in contact with another person. Hearing this, Hannah felt a wave of sadness wash over her. The creature, observing her distress, started mocking her, yet offered help, claiming it could fix things. As the creature approached, Hannah found herself fixated, almost hypnotized by its gaze. She felt a strange sensation, as if losing consciousness, getting lost in the creature's eyes and its mesmerizing presence. Amidst the intense moment with the creature, Hannah's mom's call interrupted, instantly snapping her back to reality. Seeing the creature so close triggered her anger, and she impulsively threw something at it, rendering it unconscious. Regaining consciousness later, the creature warned Hannah that she couldn't rid herself of it, no matter how hard she tried. Despite its threats, Hannah ignored its words and took it to the basement, leaving it there as she returned home. Back at home, her mom called again, and this time, Hannah answered. Seeking clarification about a potential twin sibling, she asked her mom if she had a twin before she was born. However, her mom flatly denied any such thing and instead invited Hannah to a party they were having. Already under immense tension, Hannah found herself resorting to her nail-rubbing habit as a way to cope with the mounting stress. A knock on Hannah's door revealed her two friends who had come to pick her up for an outing. Seeing them together intensified Hannah's suspicions that there might be something more between them. The uneasy feeling she had harbored now grew stronger, fueling her anger. Consequently, she declined their invitation to join them, and they departed without insisting. Driven by her need for answers, Hannah turned to the internet to learn more about dual DNA. In her research, she stumbled upon a group of people who shared the same condition. Intrigued, she discovered that they had created a separate community for themselves. Determined to explore further, she followed the information to an address, leading her to an abandoned building. Venturing into a secret basement, Hannah finally found the group of people who, like her, were dealing with the challenges of dual DNA. The group, like Hannah, shared the challenge of dealing with the appendage. Learning this brought Hannah a sense of relief, knowing she wasn't alone in this experience. As they discussed their appendages, an elderly man in the group shared his story, describing how his appendage had a tendency to benefit itself by causing harm to others. They all had their appendages emerging from their marks, a sort of birthplace for these creatures. Hannah, seeking a solution, proposed visiting a doctor. However, the old man cautioned against it. He recounted an incident where a man had sought medical help for the appendage, but the doctors, baffled by this rare condition, conducted various experiments leading to the man's demise. He warned that seeking medical attention might lead to a similar fate and suggested staying hidden to avoid such risks. The old man delves deeper into the nature of the appendage, explaining that it sustains itself by feeding off its host, the person from whom it emerged. It thrives on the strength and vitality of its host, exerting a form of hypnotic influence that weakens both the mind and body. Through this process, the appendage grows stronger and more powerful over time. He emphasizes the impossibility of severing ties with one's appendage since it's inherently connected to its host, remembering and exploiting their emotions and hardships for its own gain. The group members are advised to conceal their appendages and use a specialized medicine injection that weakens and renders the appendage unconscious for extended periods. After receiving this information and the injection, Hannah prepares to leave. However, she encounters Claudia, a girl from the group, who strikes up a conversation. Claudia invites Hannah to her house for coffee, initiating a conversation that ultimately leads to the blossoming of their friendship. Claudia had her appendage tied up, causing quite a ruckus. When Hannah asked why she hadn't used the injection, Claudia admitted to feeling conflicted about it at times. Hannah reasoned that despite the discomfort caused by the injection, it was crucial in dealing with the appendage's negative effects, preventing it from exploiting their weaknesses and planting negative thoughts. As Claudia went to pacify her appendage, Hannah returned home. Her appendage attempted to persuade her, offering a solution to fix everything if she'd only listen. Unmoved, Hannah administered the injection, rendering her appendage unconscious. Later that night, Hannah immersed herself in her work, designing a dress, when her friend paid a surprise visit. His mention of conversations with another friend sparked Hannah's suspicion and anger. Feeling betrayed, she accused them of engaging in shady activities behind her back, ultimately ejecting her friend from the house in a fit of frustration and distrust. Hannah, during a disagreement with her friend at work, reflected on her past. She confessed to Claudia about a time in college when she deliberately hit her car somewhere, contemplating ending her life. This act stemmed from a deep-rooted feeling of inadequacy she had carried since childhood, a belief that something was inherently wrong with her. Claudia offered reassurance, asserting that Hannah was perfectly normal and that her self-doubt was unfounded. Hannah then speculated that her fears, troubles, and hesitations might stem from her long-standing negative perception of herself. In response, Claudia shared her own secret, admitting to frequently conversing with her appendage. She explained that the appendage often provided accurate insights, such as revealing her husband's infidelity, which had proven to be true. Claudia suggested that if used correctly, the appendage could become a personal advisor, offering sound advice and revealing truths. However, she cautioned against becoming too engrossed in the appendage, warning Hannah to maintain a cautious distance to avoid becoming consumed by it. Hannah attempted to communicate with her appendage upon returning home, seeking some form of dialogue. However, the appendage manipulated her emotions, weaving a narrative that her friends were in a romantic relationship and that nobody cared for her. These words had a powerful effect, causing her to black out, an unexpected and troubling consequence. During this blackout, the appendage capitalized on her weakness, growing stronger at her expense. When Hannah regained consciousness, she realized that the appendage had vanished. She frantically searched everywhere for it, but it was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, her mom called her for dinner, prompting Hannah to head to her parents' house, feeling distressed and weakened due to the appendage's influence. While en route, she reached out to Claudia, explaining the unsettling situation and pleading for assistance. Hannah was now in desperate need of help, grappling with the absence of her appendage and its potentially dangerous influence over her. Claudia responded quickly, assuring Hannah that she would meet her soon at her house. Upon arriving at her parents' house, however, Hannah's health took a drastic turn, resulting in her vomiting during a family meal. A disagreement with her mom ensued, prompting Hannah to leave abruptly. Outside, feeling extremely unwell, she urgently called Claudia, requesting her presence. Hannah's condition worsened visibly, an effect likely linked to her troublesome appendage. The appendage, now larger and more menacing, approached Hannah, uttering hurtful words and planning negative thoughts. This emotional onslaught left Hannah mentally shattered, succumbing to fear and worry. Unfortunately, the appendage succeeded in its plan, taking advantage of Hannah's vulnerable state and initiating a distressing act. After consuming the real Hannah completely, the appendage assumed her form, gaining immense power while leaving the real Hannah incredibly weak. Around this time, Claudia arrived, but a shocking revelation unfolded. It wasn't the real Claudia, but her appendage, now masquerading as her. The truth emerged that the noisy disturbance in the house had actually been the real Claudia, kept captive by her appendage. These appendages were cunning, adept at deceiving their hosts by feeding them lies to weaken them emotionally. In Claudia's case, the appendage fabricated a story about her husband's infidelity, which turned out to be false. Similarly, the claim about Hannah's friends being in love was a fabricated scheme to deceive her. Together, the appendage posing as Claudia and the one embodying Hannah collaborated to confine the real Hannah in the basement. The connection between the appendage and the real Hannah necessitated the real Hannah's survival for their plan to proceed. This sinister plot was now in motion. After a few days, appendage Hannah devised a sinister plan to eliminate the real Hannah once she found a new target. To set the stage, appendage Hannah sent apology messages to her two friends. The female friend, receiving the unexpected apology, grew concerned and decided to meet appendage Hannah. Upon arrival, she noticed a peculiar sound emanating from the basement. When she attempted to investigate, both appendages blocked her way, with appendage Hannah providing false reasons to keep her out. The friend, puzzled by Hannah's uncharacteristic behavior, grew increasingly uneasy. Her suspicions heightened when she observed a shared tattoo on their arms, absent on appendage Hannah. Recognizing the deception, the friend discreetly ventured into the basement and discovered the real Hannah in a distressing state, tied up and suffering. Shocked by the sight, she swiftly took her to the hospital. The deep bond between the two friends endured, leading to a rekindling of their relationship after this harrowing experience. Both appendages infiltrated the same group Hannah had previously encountered, revealing their true nature. These entities, after feeding on and weakening their original hosts, had assumed their forms, imprisoning them and now masquerading as their victims to live their lives. Their ultimate intent was to eliminate their hosts once they were done. During a gathering, the appendage posing as Hannah received applause from the group. The leader among them announced a new strategy to feed and grow stronger without relying solely on their hosts. They planned to target individuals outside their hosts, people engulfed in perpetual negativity, constantly worried, scared, and unhappy. By exploiting these individuals' distress, they aimed to feed and amplify their strength. To illustrate their plan, the leader presented a captive boy, explaining that his sorrow over the loss of his brother made him a suitable target for their feeding. The appendages reveled in the plan to prey on individuals drowning in sadness, deriving nourishment from their emotional distress. This revelation delighted the other appendages, who anticipated following suit and exploiting others' sorrow for sustenance. Meanwhile, appendage Hannah visited her friend in the hospital. However, the nurse conveyed positive news about Hannah's health report, affirming that everything appeared fine. Despite this, she was advised to stay in the hospital for a few more days. While Hannah's friend was in another room, she experienced a broken tooth, causing her distress. Anxious, she promptly contacted Claudia, who disclosed that the real Hannah had been liberated and was recuperating in the hospital. Furthermore, the real Hannah was growing stronger emotionally and mentally, causing appendage Hannah to weaken. This outcome stemmed from the continued connection between the real Hannah and her friend. It's a distressing situation. The appendage thrives on negative emotions, growing stronger as its host experiences sorrow and worry. However, the real Hannah's condition improves significantly due to the support of her friend, leading to her happiness and, consequently, weakening the appendage Hannah. Claudia suggested feeding the appendage with someone else's distress to sustain it. This led appendage Hannah to target their male friend, sensing his trouble. Both Hannah and Claudia rushed to Hannah's house, where appendage Claudia attacked. The two friends managed to subdue her, administering the injection that rendered her unconscious. They then hurried to the room where appendage Hannah was feeding on their friend. If the feeding continued, their friend would succumb first, followed by the demise of the real Hannah, as their connection remained intact until then. The situation remained critical, entailing a race against time to save their friend and prevent further harm to the real Hannah. Hannah took a drastic step to halt the feeding process by removing the appendage's tongue, saving both her life and her friend's. Yet, the appendage persisted, attempting to emotionally manipulate the real Hannah. However, the real Hannah's newfound strength enabled her to remain composed. She administered an injection to the appendage, gradually weakening it. Eventually, the appendage reduced in size, becoming harmless and small, no longer posing a threat. With their wits about them, Hannah and her friend rescued the real Claudia, liberating her from the grasp of her appendage, which also diminished in size, losing its menace. Now free from their harrowing ordeal, Hannah and her friend decided to leave their previous jobs behind, embarking on a new journey together. Hannah underwent a remarkable transformation. Embracing positivity, she fostered better relationships and nurtured a different perspective. Accepting herself as she was, she found happiness. She cared for her appendage like a tender guardian, concealing it from the world. From the tale, it became evident that the appendage symbolized negative emotions like worry, sorrow, pain, and tension prevalent in every individual, weakening them. However, the story conveyed a crucial message, that one could combat these feelings by exercising control. Encouraging positive thinking, banishing worry, and embracing relaxation were potent tools against these negative emotions. By doing so, the appendage of negative feelings could be conquered, empowering individuals to lead fulfilling lives. And with this uplifting message, the story draws to a close. Thanks for tuning in, guys.